This is my 2013 BMW 328i that I purchased from Copart as a run and drive. It did have some minor damage on the front end. The headlight, the bumper, the fender and the bonnet were damaged, but because I saw the interior of this car, which is the best color combination in my opinion, I thought this is gonna be a really good buy. But once the car got delivered, I heard the gearbox was making a bad noise. I removed the oil pan and found a lot of glitter in the oil. So that meant this gearbox is done. So I got a second-hand one from Facebook Marketplace and installed it. After I petted my cat, I removed the front fender to see if the frame is damaged in any way, but it was intact, so I ordered a new headlight and a new fender and installed them both. The bumper and the hood were not in that bad of a shape, so I decided I'll give it a go at fixing these two panels, and if it doesn't turn out right, I will replace them, and that's that. But at least I would learn something from trying. If you go to a body shop, they will tell you that the bonnet cannot be fixed and it needs to be replaced, because usually it will be out of alignment and the gaps are not going to align well no matter what you do. But in my situation, the gaps look completely fine. Both corners look like they haven't moved, and I think it's good to try and fix. The reason why I want to fix it is because it has all of these original stickers underneath, and I don't want to replace that. I would like this to stay as original as possible. So let's give it a go. In order to repair the dent, I'm using two hammers, one to support the weight of the bonnet and also the weight of all the blows, and one to actually hammer it into place. After you get a straight edge and you're confident that you removed most of the dents, you can then remove the paint and you can start preparing for Bondo. In a body shop, they would use a stud welder to pull the metal out and make it as good as possible in order to use low amount of Bondo, because that will probably last longer. I think it's to do with cracking over time. And I got it pretty close, and with the Bondo it turns out to look alright. So I'm happy with it, and we'll move forward to spraying it with some sandable primer. After 24 hours, the primer should be good to sand, and I used 300 grit and then 400 grit and also 600 grit to make it as smooth as it can be before we move to the next step. I don't know about you, but I'm really happy with the result. The lines are straight, and to me it seems like it worked out. The bumper was fixed and I lost the footage. I did some plastic welding and then Bondo plus primer. It's all good to go. I've also cleaned out the garage because dust is my main enemy for the next step. And look at that, it looks so good. I can't even believe that that was fixed by me. I have to be honest, I am a little bit surprised that this worked out. But at this point you can start preparing your paint, or what I decided to do is wrap the whole car. And this is what I chose as the wrap because I found a really good deal on Amazon and I couldn't resist, and I love this color. This is VViViD Plus Ultra Gloss Smurf Blue. That's what they call it, but in my eyes, this looks a lot like Laguna Seca blue. And I've always wanted a car in that color, and this is my chance to get it. Now, I've ordered 50 feet by 5 feet, and this should be enough to wrap the whole car if I don't make many mistakes. And if you want to order the same vinyl or even different color, you can go on Amazon, because this was only $400 for the entire car. And I think that's pretty much the best deal you could get. Now, when it comes to wrapping, I'm not an expert. I've only done it twice, and I like the process, but it's very complicated. So you have to be really careful, and you have to pay attention to pretty much everything you do, even down to how much material you're cutting and how you're positioning it, because you might end up running out of material before you finish the whole car. So I usually cut the material in preparation for 2 panels at the same time. If it's not a wide panel like I did with the fender, I cut it, and I also measured it for the passenger side to make sure that I'm not wasting any material. If you haven't done this and you really want to give it a try, I would recommend ordering a small amount of wrap and try on a fender or like a small panel and even a door, but the fender is probably the best thing to try on because it has some complicated shapes and it can teach you some things. Just try it until you are confident and then take on the project of doing the whole car. And I think it's not that difficult in theory. You just have to be patient and you just have to take it slow, step by step, and make sure you remove all the bubbles and don't rush the process in any way. I think anybody could do this. It just is time consuming. You have to be patient and prepared for about a week of wrapping. Another fact to consider is that you need a warm garage. And not only that, but the car needs to stay in there for the metal to normalize, to get basically to the room temperature. Because if it's cold, it's going to create a lot of problems. And in some situations, it can tear your material once you try to reposition it. Ask me how I know. Yeah, so that just happened. And that means this panel is completely wasted. So the wrap needs to come off and a new one needs to be installed. And this time I've preheated the panel way more than I did the first time. This should not stop you from trying. This is how we learn. A lot of failures until you get it right. And by failing, you know what not to do. So don't worry about it. Just change the broken part and move on. If you're not confident enough, you could order some extra material just in case something like this happens. Now the fender looks very good and we can move to the next part, which is the bonnet. And the bonnet can be difficult, especially when the body panels are cold. I did use the heat gun to preheat the panel as much as possible, not to feel it like it's hot, but to have the room temperature so that the wrap doesn't actually crack. Because the wrap is so thin, once you apply it to the body panel, if it's cold, all of that heat is going to get transferred to the metal right away, right? It's going to suck up the heat from the wrap and it's going to make it brittle. So you want the panel to be warm when you apply the film. This way the film stays soft and malleable. For the bonnet, it's usually best to have a second person with you, and this way you can stretch the material really well before you apply it and remove all of those wrinkles before you even start. But when you're alone, you can do what I do here and hold the corner up so that the film doesn't stick to the panel in any way, and you can work it from the middle of the bonnet towards the edges as you go. And don't worry if there are some wrinkles, they will come out as you work it.
Sometimes I feel like all is lost, but I know it's not true. I wanna put up all my walls cause I'm not in the mood, but then I cut myself off from the rest of the room. I know that time can heal it all if you're patient and soon it can all be worth it, all the searching. Pain is never really permanent, but damn it hurts, man. I could feel all of the turbulence and it's concerning. I've been searching for a purpose, I hope it's worth it. This society is really trying me. Ain't no hide and seek, I hide to be far from anxiety. I need my space, I need my privacy, I need some silence. Please, you're all too loud, you don't speak quietly. Opinions violently thrown across every surface, it makes me nervous. Is the world honestly burning? That's all I'm learning. Hope that we can make a turn and start reversing. All our minds, we put the work in, we got some work, man. I can hear the demons call when they do what they do, and now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through. Gotta get through this, life is a nuisance, tie up some loose ends. I try to be human, find a solution, my evolution. A place like this, it didn't exist, we made it like this. So you can go pick the bad or the good, got a glass half rich. I know, it's easier to hide than just to lay low. Not everyone in life has got a halo. I'm standing in the red inside a payphone. Just wanna break, no, I'm not gonna give in. Take a last shot, Michael J. Win. No, I'm not a robot, I'm in my own skin. Never get lost when thoughts pull you in. I miss we owned you, we died with a purpose. All the energy around me felt nervous, scared I would pop off fast to the surface. Had to cut it off before you made me worthless. Torn apart, I've been torn and scarred. I had to give up, and now I'm thinking smart. I'm keeping up my guard, I'm hiding every card. A royal flush of love, you never know what's hard. With a back to the mat, gonna see where I'm at. I'ma fight like I'm mad, I'm a piece of the that. They can never be me, nice try, but they'll see I achieve everything while they stay salty.
There you have it. The bonnet is done and it looks very good. I'm happy with that. Now, the most difficult part is the front bumper. And it is okay because it's made of plastic and it's not as cold as the metal portions of the car, but still it has a lot of curves and a lot of corners that you need to pay attention to and kind of anticipate how the material is going to wrap around those little bits. As you can see, I'm measuring on the rear bumper because it needs a little bit longer material, and the same section that I'm going to cut for the rear bumper is going to be cut in half and used on the front bumper as well. But I measure for the rear one because it needs to have the right length. If I was to cut it for the front bumper, then for the rear bumper I would have to cut a new section, and that's a waste of material. So keep that in mind. On BMWs, the rear bumper is always more material than the front bumper. Now, to make sure that you remove most of the wrinkles from the get-go, you can preheat the material really well and stretch it along the bumper. And start from the middle and work your way towards the edges. And don't focus too much on the top or the bottom portion just yet. As long as you have the middle portion well in place, the other bits are just gonna fall into place as they should. It's just gonna take time and small, precise movements. The front bumper was probably the most time-consuming panel of them all. It took me about 5 hours to finish. And I don't know if this is too much time or too little time. I have never discussed this with any expert, so I have no idea if 5 hours for the front bumper is okay or not. But this is what it took. And if you're gonna do something like this, I really want you to understand that this is not a fast turnaround. You just have to work patiently on it, and this will teach you how to be patient, and there is a really good reward at the end of it. With the bumper all done, it's time to reinstall some of the trim bits, including the front grille. And I did choose to go for the black one. Some of you like the original chrome. In my opinion, the black one looks way better. I have to say, I'm really happy with this color choice, and I think it makes this car look so much better. And I do love black cars, but I had so many black cars and never had a blue one. And to be honest, this blue is even more amazing once the lights are a little bit dimmer. In order to wrap the doors and the rear fender, you have to start by removing the handles because they will be in the way, and also fold the mirrors. Because here we're gonna cut a big piece that will cover all 3 panels at once, and then from that piece we have to cut away each section that we need and leave only the rear fender in place and start with that. And also don't forget to cut the strip that goes down onto the rocker panel. That's really important. If you forget that, then you will have to ruin another piece just because of how long it is. I have to say, wrapping works a lot better if you have a warm garage. I do have a heater, but it's not strong enough to warm up to the level where this would be really nice. It's just taking off some of the edge, but not to make you feel like you need to be in a t-shirt. And from what I saw on other videos, people are wrapping in a really nice temperature controlled environment, and that's because the wrap is much softer and more pliable. But I have to say, the heat gun method that I used, heating up the panel, works very well, and I didn't have any other issues apart from the front fender. Everything worked just fine. The doors, in my opinion, are the easiest parts to wrap. They're very flat panels and you don't need to worry too much. If you stretch the material really well before applying it, this is gonna work out really simple. And it's also very satisfying because you're covering a lot of the car in a small period of time and you feel like you've achieved something. And that brings me to another point. I am mostly a mechanic. I do a lot of the mechanical work in order to give these cars value, but sometimes it feels like you're not moving forward too much, because once you do some work under the bonnet, it's really not visible, apart from the fact that the car maybe runs better or it actually runs where it didn't before. But I need sometimes like a big visual result, and I think this is a really good skill to have, and I will try my best to perfect it, and I will do more of these videos. If you're interested, make sure to subscribe because you will get more content like this in the future. With both doors and the side skirt wrapped, now it's time to step back for a second and look at this amazing color. With that important step accomplished, now let's take care of the rear bumper. And I'm happy to say that the rear bumper is much easier to wrap than the front bumper. It's mainly a flat portion, and if you get the wrap aligned properly, this whole thing is gonna come together really fast. This part is probably the most challenging part on the rear bumper, and if you take it slow and apply enough heat, the material is going to stretch enough and follow the curvature of the bumper. And it's really not that difficult to get it done right. And I like to go with the wrap all the way to the trunk seal. Some of the professional wrappers are using an inlay for this bit just to make sure that it will not shrink back once the sun hits it. But what I also learned is if you heat the material a lot, it will lose its memory, so it will stay in position. And from what I see, this material is very good at not losing color once you stretch it. You can stretch it pretty far before the color starts to change. And some of the wraps that I used in the past, when I tried to wrap like a little mirror or something like that, the material would lose color really fast. So you were very limited in how much you can stretch the material. But here, no problem at all. This is a really good material, and I don't know if it's the best. I haven't used many, but to me, this feels really good. A lot of people prefer the colored PPF nowadays, but for me, I'm just learning, and when I'm looking at a video when somebody is applying PPF, I'm like, no, this is not easy. Compared to the regular wrap, it's probably more difficult. Some people say it's easier in some ways, and it's more durable, but it does cost more money. And in my opinion, it's not as easy to apply as this. Just to learn, I think this material is perfect. And it has a really high gloss, which surprises me because it looks very close to actual paint. And if I get to learn more and I do a much better job, I think this is really good to do. And I will want to learn the PPF also, but I think I need to perfect this one first, because most of the things you learn here will apply to the PPF as well. And I'm definitely not to the level where I can just change materials whenever I want. So a lot more work needs to be done before I can try that. In case you don't know how to remove the door handles, BMW makes it so much easier than the other car brand. There is a plastic cap that you need to remove, then it has a screw in there, you need to undo that. The first cap of the lock comes out and then the handle can slide out. And it's really as easy as that, and the handle is removed. You also have to unplug the wire, but that's simple. So this is probably the easiest handle to remove and install from all the cars that I've worked on. If you're still watching this far into the video, it means you like long form content. So I have to tell you that I've created a second channel which is called Adrian Builds, and I will have it linked at the end of the video. You can go ahead and subscribe, because on that channel I will only post the full builds once they are done. And you can just enjoy evening time on your TV, and my focus is to make it watchable on TV, not on your phone or on your tablet. I mean, it can still be watched on your tablet, but it's basically to a movie length. And I'm gonna try to keep it consistent between 1.5 hours to 2 hours with all of the builds from now on. And if you do like that type of content, go ahead and subscribe to the second channel. That would help me a lot, and you get to see finalized projects from start to finish. And if you want to support this channel, you can also become a member, and I don't have anything special for the memberships only yet, but I am thinking of something, and I only will launch something if it's big enough. For now, it's just a way of supporting the channel. And if you do decide to do so, thank you in advance. Now let's get back to this car, and I have to say that the black trim does fit a lot better than just regular chrome trim. And I think the whole car is transformed. I'm very happy with the result. I think the color choice was perfect, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. In the next video we will take care of the timing chain, because we have no records of it being done, and the car has 130,000 miles, and I just want to make sure that this is good to go for the next owner. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That will help with the growth of the channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.